Well, in certain way, you represent uh, young people in certain way because you're the youngest person in Congress, which is important at this moment especially. What are the main concerns that you have heard from this population, these voters?
I was on the campaign trail with for Kamala last year. I spent a lot of time at college campuses and speaking with young people outside of college campuses as well. And the top issue I heard about from them had to do with housing and affordability. That young people, don't believe that they'll ever be able to buy a home. They're worried about finding work. They're worried about how much that work will pay, and they're worried about if their pay will be able to cover their living expenses. That's the top thing I've heard about.
During the campaign, I was interviewing a lot of young people, and I was asking them how they felt about the leadership in parties, if the parties they were doing enough. And they were feeling that they are not doing enough. What is your opinion on that? Do you think parties are actually trying to find new leadership to get better or closer to this the new voters?
I think young people and just generally all people want bold transformational change. I do believe that generally there's distrust in the political system, in Republicans and Democrats and everything. And I think that's part of the reason why Trump won is because to a lot of people, they believed him when he said he would, change the status quo for them. But all he's doing is rigging the status quo for billionaires and rich people. And so I think this is our opportunity as Democrats to step in and say, yeah, we do want to change the status quo, but we actually want to do it for you. And all you got to do is look at what Trump is doing. He's doing all these cuts to Medicaid, Social Security, Medicare, veterans benefits. Now they're trying to undo something that happened in the Biden administration where if you had problems paying off your medical debt, it wouldn't impact your credit score. They want to undo that. Why? It feels like it's just evil stuff. And it's because they're working for billionaires and big corporations. And people are hungry for big transformational change. They want a country where, yes, housing is a human right. Everybody has a roof over their head. They want a country where everybody has health care. They want a country where they can go outside and not get shot. And the fact of the matter is the government has failed the people for generations. And that's why so many young people look at the system and say, what's there for me? And but I believe that Democrats, we have this opportunity to step forward and say we're for that bold transformational change too, because we are.
Also during the campaign, and we see now also many of these young voters, they instead of seeing, watching, or hearing the regular media, the classic media, they go to podcasts, to followers to try to find these guys. They have 1,000 of followers. Some of them, of course, they do fact checking in many topics, but most of them they do nothing about a lot of this information. How to face this thing, especially for the new generations.
And it's not just young people. Older people are increasingly getting their information and news from not direct news sources. Now, it doesn't mean that the information had come from a news source, but they aren't necessarily going to the website of a newspaper or reading the newspaper themselves. They're going through social media, through podcasts, through different things like that. And it's, yes, with young people, but it's really with all demographics as well. And that's something that Democrats, and this is part of the reason I ran for the DPCC, the Democratic Policy and Communications Committee, is we have to be communicating everywhere at the same time, all the things, all the time. So whether it's social media, whether it's TikTok, X, Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, podcasts, everything, we need to be there and making sure we have the right messengers in the right places.
Mm-hmm. So you are not focusing on a specific thing. You are trying to...
Across the board, yeah.
Across the board. So you live in a state with a double front about immigration issues because you have the federal effort with these deportations, and you also have a state with the DeSantis programs and the plans of all these laws 1718, the act, which is at this moment I think there is stopped a little because it was a new decision from court. But how your people in this district are feeling about this issue?
I think two things. Number one, what's going on in this country has been going on in Florida for years, right? Under Ron DeSantis and his authoritarian regime. And I think in Florida, we have put together the muscle and the systems to take care of undocumented immigrants, to make sure we're protecting our people, LGBTQ plus community, teachers, Black history, everything that's been under attack in Florida for several years. Part of, a lot of people are scared, but a lot of people are angry and fighting back. I've been doing a lot of different town halls and roundtables on immigration specifically. I did it with a group of Haitian pastors. They didn't come in there and say, I'm scared, I'm gonna roll over and not do anything. No, they said, I'm scared for my congregation. How do we protect them? What do we do? We're ready to go. And it's the same thing in the Latino community and across the board. And a lot of people that might have trusted Trump are now feeling like they made the wrong decision. Mm-hmm. He's rolled back TPS for Venezuela, rolled back TPS for Haiti. Now he's talking about a travel ban, including Haiti and Cuba in it. Cuba, a group of people in Miami who have gone to the right election after election. I say this as a Cubano, right? But people are starting to wake up and they're starting to see, wow, these people have just used us. They've sold us BS and lies to get our votes, and the first chance they get, they want to deport us and send us out of here.
Do you are having this feeling more commonly in your district, or that the people are saying this more openly?
I think it's around Florida, but I do see this in my district as well. Now, my district, granted, is a pretty blue district. And a lot of the people, predominantly on the Latino side, we predominantly have Puerto Ricans who came here after Hurricane Maria. Mm-hmm. So these are folks who saw those images of Donald Trump throwing the tissue paper, who saw him try to block aid to Puerto Rico, who someone at his rally called it a island of floating garbage. They're the largest group of climate refugees in the country, so they understand climate change. And so I think that's a part of it as well.
Mm-hmm. So during the Biden administration, you worked closely against the gun violence.
Yes.
Even I was there when you opened this office.
Oh, and right, yeah. It was a good day.
And I was there in another event that you were talking about this issue. But now we're in a different situation.
Yep.
Trump administration, they don't believe in gun violence, in my opinion. After we cover many things, the Republicans, they defend guns.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't matter what. So where is your fight on this issue going at this moment?
Right now, a few different things. Number one, we're focusing local. Part of what the Biden administration did is they gave resources to cities and towns across the country and said, here, start your own Office of Gun Violence Prevention. And we've seen that happen. And those offices still exist. We still have the Orlando Office of Gun Violence Prevention. And guess what? Gun violence has gone down in Orlando. Boston has been funding these groups as well. Gun violence has gone down in Boston 40% less shootings in just a few years. So this works. And guess what? Even though the White House took away the White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention, which we're very distraught over, and I reintroduced my bill to change that, we still have people doing this work at the local level across the entire country. And so we still feel hope that we can keep the funding sources together, that we can encourage more cities, towns, and states to do this work on their own, and that we'll continue to push at the federal level.
Is there at least one Republican trying to be with you in this effort?
No, not right now.
So the last question, freedom of speech is under attack by some of Trump's executive orders. So we have the case of Mahmoud Khalil, but they say this is not the only one. They are going for many people just expressing themselves. So this is the question. What is your opinion on this issue? Should we be concerned about this thing?
We should be very concerned about it. No matter what your politics are, you should be concerned about the fact that a graduate student with a family who has a legal status in this country was abducted by ICE with no real probable cause or reason, rhyme or reason, because Trump disagrees with his speech and what he said. And not just that, they detained him. They didn't tell the family anything about where he was, and then said they were going to revoke his green card and deport him. Everybody should be concerned. Because what Trump is trying to do here, what he is doing, is he's testing a system. But he's not just testing a system, he's testing the people. He's trying to see, are people going to be outraged about this? Because I want the power to disappear somebody when they disagree with me. And that's what authoritarian dictators do. And Trump said he'd be a dictator. And so this is it's a very serious. Everyone should be very concerned about this. And he's only the first one we know of. I mean, we don't know that has happened to multiple people. There are tons of green card holders in this country who don't speak English, who don't have a family. He happened to be a high profile activist, and so we all know about it. Who knows who this has happened to before him? We don't know. And so we should all be very concerned about it.
Is any effort that Democrats are going to run in Congress?
Yes. Jamie Raskin is currently working on something. He's the lead of the Judiciary Committee, and this issue sits under that. And so part of it is being vocal about it, which many of us have been, but then also working within the judiciary to figure out where we go from here.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.